Right. So Joe Biden, his inauguration is coming up in a few hours, right? And wow, I mean, you should see the number of troops that the U.S. has in D.C. Quite staggering. Here's a headline from USA Today. They say over 20,000 National Guard troops to provide security against inauguration threats in Washington. And again, you see the subtitle over here. That's more soldiers than we have in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. That's interesting subtext. We'll get back to that in a second, right? We'll get back to that in a second. So they're saying around 21,000 National Guard members will be in the nation's capital to help secure the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden, roughly 4 times the number of American troops currently deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. And here's how that compares to U.S. troop deployments across the world. And then again, this is not loading, so I don't know. There was a nice little graphic I had from leftover, but you can see the size of the squares alone. I mean, it's just staggering, right? So you have 168,000, 169,000 U.S. active military overseas, and they're saying 21,000 in D.C. currently, right? And they're trying to draw a contrast here, like, oh, look, that's way more than we have in these war zones in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I haven't just seen this here. I've seen Wolf Blitzer, for example, saying this. Look at what Wolf Blitzer says. He says, I spotted these National Guard troops at a normal Washington street corner, not even near the Capitol. So many streets have been closed. It reminds me of the war zones I saw in Baghdad or Mosul or Fallujah. So sad. Okay. What are they telling us? What are they saying here? What do they mean, all these people? And then the Hill. They say the Capitol is now crawling with more troops than in the United States' main theaters of war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria combined, as the National Guard fortifies key areas around Washington, D.C. for President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Okay, so I'm seeing the same message, more or less, right, from all of these outlets and media personalities. They're shocked. They're taken aback. They're surprised that you have so many troops in Washington, D.C., and that these troops outnumber the troops that they have in war zones. So what? Like, where do they think that U.S. troops normally belong? This is my question to them. Do they think that U.S. troops belong on other people's land by default? Like, you should have just, NPCs, like, just standing around on other people's land everywhere. Do they think that, you should have U.S. troops in combat all the time? Like, this is... No, they should be. Most of your fucking troops should be at home. Keep them at home. Especially, note here, the name, okay? Especially if they're called the National Guard. What the fuck is the National Guard doing outside your borders anyway? I see that sometimes, like, oh, you have National Guard in Iraq. Like, Iraq is in Iraq. What the fuck is your National Guard doing over there? Weird concept, right? A weird concept. It makes sense if you consider other countries to be colonies and part of your empire. Then it makes sense why you would send your National Guard to maybe one of your outposts. Just like the Romans, they would send Christ knows how many legions. So about 30,000 troops, I think, at one time they had in Britain, right? And then you have multiple emperors, just like, not emperors, you have multiple commanders try and go and, oust or coup the emperor and take over Rome, because of how many troops they needed to keep Britain under Roman occupation. So anyway, this is, do you see the subtext, the way that they frame things? And Wolf Blitzer is comparing this to Baghdad or Mosul or Fallujah. No, this has nothing to do with, this is a joke. This is a bunch of grunts standing around. The fucking fart. This has got to do with Baghdad. It had nothing to do with Baghdad. Fallujah? Do you want to see what Fallujah looks like? I don't even know what Fallujah looks like because it's turned to rubble. It's turned to dust. It doesn't look like anything. You have birth defects there. I mean, Fallujah is one of the cities, I think it's the one with the highest number of birth defects in the world. But again, I'm not sure, so I'm going to say one of the cities because I'm not in possession of the latest figures. But my point here is that you have so many rounds, so many tank shells, projectiles containing depleted uranium that were used by U.S. troops that to this day, in 2021, you still have kids being born with birth defects in Fallujah. Do you have an astronomical rate of children being born with birth defects in Washington, D.C.? No, you don't. So shut the fuck up, Wolf Blitzer, you stupid prick. Go and fuck yourself. I mean, how insulting. And Shep Smith.
That the only way for peace was to get rid of Saddam Hussein, get him fed, help him rebuild. Then maybe, Brit Hume, you have an outpost in the middle of the Persian Gulf and a way to spread some of the love. Who knows? It's certainly a good thought, isn't it?
You also have Brian Williams, who was in Iraq, right? In the helicopter, and he lied about being shot at to appear more heroic or something. He got suspended from NBC for like 6 months because of it. You know, like, these people were there. This tells you, if you weren't aware already, that they're liars and they never reported accurately about the war. I mean, I probably, like, in the last 30 seconds, I've given you a more accurate assessment of what happened there than they ever have in the entire time they were there. They were there to sell the war. You had CNN live streaming the invasion from a fucking tank, dude. I remember seeing it on the TV. Like, these people are crazy. They live streamed the invasion. Just bloodthirsty fucking nut jobs. You know, and then they come here and compare this fart to Iraq. That's such a whitewashing of crimes. And this is, again, why I bring this up, because that country is still under occupation. It has not recovered. It has not even begun to recover from what the US and the UK and the coalition forces did to it. And people forget about that, and they allow people like Wolf Blitzer to get away with saying shit like this. No, fuck you. You participated in that. You're complicit with fucking propaganda for the war machine. You piece of shit. You should be fucking ashamed to even show your head in public, you motherfucker. He's still saying that? Like, has he learned nothing? Of course he's learned nothing. I mean, Christ. Fallujah? Mosul? Man, Mosul, you should see what Mosul looks like after the US invasion, after Al-Qaeda, after ISIS. I mean, that city is rubble. Rubble. Christ. And, you know, you're comparing some lousy grunts or standing around, or a lousy checkpoint, to what happened there. Man, in Iraq, you couldn't even drive next to coalition troops. You can't even get close to their car, or otherwise they will just blast you with a .50 caliber. Just gangsters, like fucking bandits, you know? Among them, the Blackwater atrocities, right? Among them. But that was just standard protocol. Like, oh, if you get too close, we will fucking blast you. Go and read the Iraq body count, right? Chelsea Manning gave a lot of those files to WikiLeaks, and they were entered into that database. You can see a lot of examples where someone didn't read a sign that US troops had put up at a checkpoint, and so they just massacred the whole family in the car because, oh, they were going too fast. There's no gun in the car. There's no terrorist in the car. It's a family. It's just a family. And they didn't read the sign. So, okay, we just murdered them. And you're comparing that to this shit. Eat shit and fuck you. كس امك يا ابن الشرموطة. خراي عليك. They spend their whole fucking time trying to paint the US as victims. You're not fucking victims. If you're victims of anything, it's of yourself. You don't get to go and bully other people and bully other countries and murder and displace millions of people and then fucking whine about it. You fucking participated in it. You piece of shit. You fucking did that. And you got the stones to come around and complain now, you motherfucker. Jesus Christ. You know, and you had some other guy as well. I think I showed it to you. Some Republican, I can't even remember his goddamn name. Some Republican congressman talking about, oh man, this reminds me of the war zones that I saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. Oh, our poor capital. No, shut the fuck up, asshole. That doesn't even compare. You want to look at what they fucking did? Here's just one example of what took place in the beginning of the invasion. This is just one example. There are too many to name. I can assure you we don't even know all of them. I can assure you that. Look at this, man. U.S. forces, this is April 28, 2003, okay? U.S. forces moved into Al-Fallujah, a town of 300,000, about 60 kilometers west of Baghdad. On April 28th, you had a demonstration calling for U.S. soldiers to leave. Yeah, when you invade someone's country, you're lucky if they just protest. You're lucky that they're just protesting. You're on their land. This is Iraq. This country is thousands of years old. These people come from a tree of warriors. You're lucky they're just protesting. And look what happens next. U.S. soldiers fired without provocation, killing 17 people and wounding more than 70. Jesus Christ. They said that they returned precision fire against gunmen in the crowd who had opened fire first. 2 days later, a military convoy driving through Fallujah opened fire in the midst of another demonstration, killing 3 Iraqis and wounding at least 16. I mean, this is a bloodbath. This is a bloodbath, literally a bloodbath. Because I looked at the pictures. It's from Human Rights Watch, if you want to go and read their report. You go see the pictures. A literal bloodbath. They fucking massacred these people. And you got one guy holding a picture of his son. It just horrible shit. I mean, look at this, man. I'm going to read you the caption because I don't think you see it. An Al-Fallujah man with a photograph of his son killed by U.S. troops during the April 28th demonstration. What is that? And then you want to come here and compare this shit to what happened in D.C. and we have a few checkpoints. Oh my God. Oh, look at us. We're such victims. Go and fuck yourself, you asshole. How dare you? How fucking dare you? And Human Rights Watch, by the way, just to conclude about that incident, that particular one, which is, I mean, just one among many. They did an investigation. There was no gunman in the crowd. It's bullshit. There were no bullet holes on the side where the U.S. was. There were only bullet holes where the Iraqis were standing and all over the fucking place. No precision fire. You had bullets this fucking size, man. They were shooting at a crowd of unarmed people with a .50 caliber. You fucking psychos. Have you even heard of this? Be honest. Have you ever heard of what I just told you? This is one thing. Have you ever heard of that? If an Iraqi did that in the U.S., they would never stop talking about it. Oh my God, he's a terrorist. Oh my God, he massacred 17 people. He injured dozens more. Have you ever heard about this? Be honest. I haven't. I can't keep up. There are so many atrocities that have taken place in that country since 2003. I cannot keep up. No person can. It's too much. It's impossible. And then you have these psychopaths, these murdering liars like Wolf Blitzer and all of these pieces of shit who lied about the war, who helped fuel the propaganda machine, who were doing the bidding of the CIA and spreading all this crap. You have the people who served in that occupation, served their masters at Raytheon, more likely, right? That's coming around, these foreign invaders, these occupiers coming around and pretending that they're the victims. Oh, I saw a checkpoint in DC. Oh, I was going to faint. Go and fuck yourself. I have no sympathy for you. You sound so ridiculous. You are so full of it. How dare you do that? How dare you try to whitewash these fucking war crimes? This white supremacist fucking invasion that you participated in. How dare you do that?